Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the 513 podcast. I'm Vince, and I'm doing the lone segment here. And today I want to talk about the right tackle position and what the issue is right now. We have an issue right now between Lael Collins, Jonah Williams, and a bunch of other factors that go into this position. Right now, it seems like with the signing of Orlando Brown, it has kind of sent a frenzy into the community of the Bengals. And we don't know exactly what's going to happen on the right side. We were talking about moving Jonah to the right side and having him compete with Lael Collins and a lot of other factors played into it. Personally, for me, I don't think Jonah Williams would be the answer there. I don't know what they're going to do with it. But me personally, I want to talk about why I think Lael Collins is going to be the best option at right tackle for us going forward. A lot of people have been talking about cutting Lael Collins and moving on from him, saying it's not worth it. He's injury prone, and basically saying his season that he played for us, this lone season, was just not good. I tend to disagree with that. I think a lot of people overlook what Lael Collins did for us in his lone season and overall what he accomplished this year as a Bengal. I think he fits into our scheme. He's only built his chemistry up with the other offensive linemen, and he's only improving every single day and every year. Of course, that's hard to say right now and hard to digest with his ACL injury suffered from last year, but there is a lot to digest overall here. Jonah Williams has requested a trade. Orlando Brown moving to the left tackle position and getting signed by the Bengals has basically sent Jonah Williams out of the door, either whether it be this year or next year, we don't know, but he's going to essentially be gone in the future. He wants to be a pure left tackle, he says, and that's why he's demanded a trade. So we're going to see what the Bengals do with him. But I do want to go over some stuff. I don't think Lael Collins is as bad as people were making him out to be last year. Going off of that, I want to read a few stats to you and overall just what happened last year. Now, the first 2 weeks of the season, disaster. Complete disaster overall for the team, and it was very hard to sit through for a lot of fans. And of course, this is where a lot of people think Lael Collins did his absolute worst and think he was a problem for the team. So I want to read off these stats real quick. A lot of people are saying Lael Collins was the worst offensive lineman last year, but I tend to disagree. In weeks 1 and 2, pressures allowed, 10 for Jonah Williams, 6 for Lael Collins. That's 4 more than Collins. Pressure rate was 8.54%, excuse me. For Lael Collins, it was 5.12%. Sacks allowed, Lael Collins only let up 1 sack while Jonah was giving up 3. Hits allowed were dead even at 2. Pass block grade, Lael Collins came in much lower than Jonah Williams at 43.3. Jonah Williams was 58.7. And the pass block efficiency, though, Lael Collins was higher at 96.8 compared to Jonah Williams' 94.1. The true pass set pressures allowed, Jonah Williams had 4. Lael Collins had 2. TPS pressure rate, 6.89%. Lael Collins, 3.44%. TPS sacks plus hits allowed, 3 by Jonah Williams, 1 from Lael Collins. TPS pass block grades, 75.8. Lael Collins, 48.7. So, again, Collins at the grade comes in lower. But when you read these stats and you watch the film, a lot of stuff seems a little different. I think mainly what the grades come from, though, is the fact of Lael Collins kind of stumbles around a bit. He falls. He's in the best at keeping his balance up and stuff. So it looks bad on the film, but overall, he's doing enough and he's doing his job. He's not letting Joe Burrow get hit or pressure as much as Jonah is. Could he be better at it? Absolutely. Continuing down the list, though, TPS pass block grade, I just read. TPS pass block efficiency, Lael Collins came in higher at 97.2 compared to Jonah Williams' 93.4. And the run blocking grade, Lael Collins damn near doubled Jonah Williams' output. Jonah Williams came in at 44.3 on the run blocking grade compared to Lael Collins' 83.4. Massive difference here. And this is in weeks 1 and 2, where a lot of people consider Lael Collins the weak point of the offensive line and a disappointing signing and just overall wanting him gone. He was not the worst offensive lineman. It was Jonah Williams in the first 2 weeks, which is crazy to think about. Now, I want to move on to And I want to show you the rest of the season. Now, going forward with the rest of the season, this is between weeks 3 through 18. La'el Collins got injured, so they could have been higher. So we'll see what happens going forward. But this is through the rest of the year when as the chemistry is building. Pressures allowed. Jonah Williams had 7 more pressures than La'el Collins at 35, while La'el only had 28. Pressure rate was 5.54%. La'el Collins 5.58%. Collins did go up. Sacks allowed. Jonah Williams at 10. A whopping 10 for the whole year. It was 3 the first 2 weeks. Let me double check this to make sure I'm right. Yes, 3. Hits allowed or sacks allowed by Jonah Williams was 10. So 13 sacks total in the year. La'el Collins only gave up 4 on the rest of the year. Do with that what you will, but that's 5 sacks total in 15 games played. Not too shabby. Hits allowed was 4 for Jonah Williams. La'el Collins allowed 5. Pass block grade, La'el Collins 45.8, but Jonah did drop down to 63.8. So again, the grades are still about similar. Pass block efficiency, though, dead even just about 96.2% for Jonah, but La'el Collins comes in at 0.4% higher at 96.6. True pass set pressures allowed, 21 by Collins, 20 by Jonah. TPS pressure rate, 7.4 by Jonah, 10.14 by Collins. TPS sacks plus hits allowed were dead even at 8. TPS pass block grade was 61.9 and 39.8 compared to each other. Jonah at 61, La'el at 39. Pass block efficiency, almost dead even again, 93.7 for Collins and 94.8 for Jonah Williams. And run blocking grade, La'el Collins was still higher at 64.6 to 58.9. So the stats definitely closed a bit, and you see Jonah kind of close the gap in a way. And again, these are at different positions, right tackle and left tackle, very different. We don't know how Jonah would perform on the right side. But that's another variable as to add into why I think La'el Collins should be at the right tackle for the upcoming season. We don't know what Jonah Williams' experience would be at right tackle, and it doesn't seem like he's even open to playing right tackle. So do you trust his abilities if he is himself isn't worthy, or do you even trust Jonah Williams if he doesn't even think of himself as a right tackle in any shape or form, and he only wants to be a left tackle? I don't see it, and I'm not buying it right now. I think La'el Collins would be a lot safer of an option to go with as a whole. You look at the money-wise and stuff. A lot of people say look at the money and stuff and look at the cap hits and everything. But I don't think it's as bad as people make it out to be. The cap hit at $9 million and $8 million are very, very manageable for the Bengals right now, especially if they trade Jonah. Because Jonah, if you look at Jonah's cap hit this year, is $12 million. $12 million cap hit. If you trade him, you clear out so much space and so much flexibility for this team, and you can go out and sign more free agents possibly. There isn't too many left remaining that are big names necessarily, but you can go out and get a Foster Moreau, and that would be big time. A Foster Moreau who's solid at blocking and stuff to help on the right side would be big for the Bengals on this offensive line. Again, the experience factor too. I mean, when a lot of people thought the first 2 weeks were La'el's worst, even though the grades may seem to be closing the gap, and you could argue, oh, La'el might have gotten worse. It just doesn't show up on the film, it seems like. It seems like La'el just keeps building the chemistry up with the team, and he was just building forward to that. Now, the big X factor in this is the ACL tear. He tore his ACL week 15, was very unfortunate, and it sucked to see him go down. I think if you want to manage that, there's a possibility that La'el misses the first couple weeks. You have Cody Ford, who is signed as an offensive tackle, even though he usually plays guard, and he wants to play. He's signed on as a right tackle. So you don't know what you're getting with Cody Ford, and there's a lot of variables there that can just add up and just change throughout the season. I think one of the best options you could go with is finding that future right tackle in the draft. You could easily do that. I think if you find a right tackle in the draft somewhere round 2, round 3, maybe you could maybe go round 1 if you're feeling like it, if you're comfortable enough with Foster Moreau for a few years. But it seems like tight end's going to be the pick in round 1. So, I mean, we don't know. And who knows if Bijan Robinson's there. It seems like the Bengals and a lot of fans are very big on him as a running back to replace Mixon going forward. So you don't know what that round 1 pick. So I think the safe bet is you might want to go right tackle in round 2 or 3 on a day 2 pick. That might be the best option for the Bengals in case La'el Collins can't play those first few weeks. And another thing is the Bengals have an option to take no penalty, no cap hits at all, and no real damage to their money if they cut Collins before June 1st. There's so many variables that play in with that, and it's hard to digest and just put forward what the Bengals are going to do there. If you're thinking money-wise, I feel like if they cut La'el Collins, it would be to focus more on extending T. Higgins, Jamar Chase, and Joe Burrow, that big three-headed monster. They're going to want to keep those guys around as long as possible, which is understandable. Of course, that's your core. That's your main core that you want to keep for years to come. So if they cut La'el Collins for that, I understand. But again, I think trading Jonah Williams, and if you can restructure Mixon's contract, I think that alone does it in. I think La'el Collins has enough experience. I think he's built a lot of chemistry on this line. And I think going into next year, why wouldn't he be an answer at right tackle? Why can't he be set with this offensive line? I think he would play great next year. Of course, there's a lot of questions with the ACL. We don't know how he's going to come back. But I will say this. There's a lot of different medicine and technology than there was 10 years ago. It's improving rapidly, and it's changing drastically. And way different positions, different players, different athletes, major weight difference, all together, just very different. But you look at guys like Joe Burrow who teared his meniscus, I don't know about meniscus, ACL, PCL, all kinds of stuff. Basically shredded his knee almost to nothing. And the way he comes back to week 1 in 2021 and then leads the Bengals to a Super Bowl. And you look at it now this season, he still largely has a lot of speed in his legs. He isn't like a pure pocket passing quarterback. He can run out and scramble when needed to. He's very athletic after the surgery. I think when you look at today's medicine and day and age with this, I think La'el Collins is going to be okay, and he's going to come back just fine. You aren't as athletic on the offensive line as you are a wide receiver, quarterback, and a lot of other positions. Of course, there's a lot of footwork that goes into it, and that's major, of course, and that's still going to affect you in every way. But I do think after a few weeks when La'el Collins does come back from the ACL injury, he shakes the rust off, he gets comfortable playing with the new surgery in his new leg, I don't see why he isn't going to be the answer going forward. I think he's going to settle back in. I think he's going to continue where he left off, building the chemistry with the rest of the offensive line. And I think this is going to be the best offensive line Burrow has seen yet. And I just think La'el Collins is the answer moving forward. A lot of people may see it differently. You may want to draft a right tackle just in case to bring some competition there, which I agree with. I think you should do that just in case. I'm all for drafting a right tackle. But again, I think as a starter moving forward for the rest of the season, if you want that experience, that veteran presence, and you want to protect Joe Burrow as best as possible, I believe La'el Collins is the way going forward, and you should not sleep on this man. You should not disrespect this man. You should watch the film. You should look back at his stats, and you should at least give some props and say, hey, if he was in the team last year and he didn't get injured and he was through that playoff run, the Bengals might be in the Super Bowl, might ended up winning the Super Bowl. You never know. So that's my assessment on it. I think La'el Collins should be the answer going forward. I don't see the hype not the hype. I don't see the appeal in releasing La'el Collins. I don't see the appeal in moving on from him and just going with a different option. I think La'el Collins did just fine last year, even though there was a lot of hate for him and a lot of misconception, in my opinion. I think La'el Collins can do the job. But that's my assessment. I hope you enjoyed today's podcast episode. We got a lot more coming along the way. We're going to try and get some more player interviews in, some more fan interviews, and we're going to try and discuss more about the Bengals. So make sure you stay tuned for all of that. Again, if you want to follow all of her socials and stuff, links are in the description. And just stay tuned for next coming up episodes and stuff. And I hope you have a blessed day. And Hoo Day.